All right, so for the month of March, it is Women's History Month, and at NewsWest 9, we are highlighting influential women who are leaders right here in our community. And I am joined today with none other than Mayor Lori Blong. Thank you so much, Mayor, for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, ma'am. And so starting off, in honor of it being Women's History Month, I think it's only right to start off by highlighting the fact that you've made history right here in Midland as Midland's first female mayor. Now, when you kind of hear that, tell me your thoughts initially. How does that make you feel?
It is kind of exciting to be the first female mayor. It's not actually a thing that I've spent a great deal of time thinking about, but it is exciting, and I think it's encouraging to kids in our community, to girls, and to all of our community to know that this is the first time.
Yeah, and so I'll kind of have you take me back to kind of growing up as a child. A lot of times in jobs we're in now, we're like, as kids, I'm going to be mayor one day, or I'm going to be president or a doctor. When you were younger, was mayor something that you dreamed of becoming?
It was never something that I wanted to do. I was not interested in becoming mayor as a kid. I grew up here in Midland. I was born in Midland Memorial Hospital and had loving parents and a really great intact family here in our community. And I wanted to be a teacher when I was a little girl. And so I really didn't even know anything about city governance or leadership in that capacity. And so it just was not on my radar. As a small child, it wasn't on my radar in high school or college. It really wasn't even on my radar until about a couple years before I got on city council, and so it's been a process, an evolution.
Wow, and I kind of love to hear that. So tell me just a little bit again about you growing up, since you are kind of Midland native. How was it for you in middle school here, high school, getting into college? How was that for you?
I really loved my time here in Midland. I grew up going to Rusk Elementary, and then I went to Lamar. I went to Midland Christian for a few years, and then SJ and Midland High. I graduated from Midland High. And so I had this experience of a lot of different schools here in Midland, as many of us did in the 80s and 90s, with the busing system and moving around our community. But I had an opportunity to get to know lots of different parts of Midland and people from all different parts of our community. And I think that's part of where my love for Midland really was born. So yeah, and I went to college at Hardin-Simmons in Abilene and got a psychology degree, and so really had an opportunity to extend my education there, and then ultimately became a teacher for about 5 years right after college.
Yeah. So. And teachers, they are so integral and important in kind of shaping a young kid's future and just how we grow up as becoming adults. So I'll ask you, who are some maybe teachers or women in your life who influenced you to become who you are today?
The teacher who was the greatest influence in my life was a woman named Mrs. Hooker at San Jacinto Junior High in the 8th grade. And she was my English teacher, and she made a huge impact on my life and really taught me how to write articulately and to convey my thoughts and my emotions through the written word, and really shaped my ability to write in a way that no other teacher before or since has done. And so she was a huge influence. She also had a group of us that ate lunch in her room, and she spent a lot of time with us, and we could ask any question that we wanted to, and she was happy to answer us. And so she was just relationally important, but she was also academically important to me as a teacher. So she was probably the most influential teacher. The most influential women probably were women in my church, or even my grandmother was probably one of the greatest influences in my life. She grew up in Hendrick Home for Children in Abilene, and she had a really difficult life. Her own circumstances were hard, but she made choices to comply with the people that were leaders in her life, to follow and make choices in the friends that she chose and in the career that she chose, to choose a good life for herself, and then to raise a family that cared well for each other. And so her influence in my life was really, really important as well.
And you know, Mayor Blong, you are a mom, you're a wife, you are mayor, and you're also a business owner. For those that are maybe watching and thinking, how does Mayor Blong do this? Kind of, what's your secret? How do you do what you do?
Well, I would say, first of all, that it is not possible to do it all. And I think that there is a myth sometimes that women should be able to do it all, that all of these expectations of us, we ought to be able to meet them and exceed them. And the reality is that that's not possible. And so I have had to really identify what my priorities are. And I think of them in terms of the balls that I'm juggling. You know, we as women are always juggling balls. And some of the balls that I juggle are glass. And if I drop them, they will break and shatter. And some of them are rubber, and I can let those bounce for a while, and they're going to be just fine. And so the glass balls in my life are my marriage and my family, my children, and even my job. I have to contribute to the finances of my family. These are things that I have to pay attention to. And my role as mayor right now is in that category. But then there's some other things that, you know, they're bouncing right now. They're not things that I'm continuing to juggle. And some of those things, you know, in those priorities, I have to be able to let some things go. So one other thing that I have learned to do is I meal prep on the weekends. So I make most of our meals for the week on Saturday and then have them all. So that's the thing that most people don't know about me. But I love to cook. And if I'm going to be able to do it successfully and take care of nutrition for my family, then I have to plan ahead. And so I have a really good system for that.
That's really good. Yeah, meal prep, that helps a lot.
Yeah, it does.
a lot. And, you know, you also said earlier when we started talking that mayor wasn't something, you know, that you've always been dreaming of growing up. It's kind of something recent. Can you talk about that transition that kind of got you into this office?
So 2013, I'm backing way up here, but 2013, my husband and I started our company. I had my third baby and had postpartum depression after that. My father passed away and I was very close to him. And then my husband and I lost 3 grandparents between us. And then my third baby had some health issues. And so this was one of those years that was really difficult. And we all look back on years like that and wonder how we survived. But that year, 2013, for me was a year that was really, really difficult. And it took me some time to come out of that. And so really through going to some counseling and working on my own plans and doing some work on myself, just what am I going to do with my career and as a mom, and making sure that I'm healthy and my family's headed in a way that I want it to go. And so it took a period of years to really feel like I came back into focus with the things that were priorities. And I attended something at the IF gathering in 2017 and heard a woman named Jill Briscoe speak. And she shared some things there that really impacted me. And the first one is that your primary place of calling is right where you are today. It's not a future version of yourself when your career takes off, or when your kids are grown, or when you have the house that you finally wanted. That's not where your primary place of calling is. It's where you are right now. And so when I began to take that seriously and look and see, okay, this Midland, Texas is my home. This is my primary place of calling. How am I going to make an impact here? What are the things that are the most important to me right now? And those are the places that I dug in. And that's become an important part of this story for me.
Oh, and such good 3 things. And it's really good for people to remember that all the time. I'm glad you shared that. So if people need a little refresher of why am I doing what I'm doing, or why am I going for what I'm going at, that's so good. And I know, kind of segueing a little bit into serving as mayor here for Midland and being in the office, I know you guys have spoke about, you know, the parks here, the roads, the schools, but let's talk a little bit about the quality of life for Midlanders here. While in office, what things are you wanting to kind of change or improve on when it comes to quality of life here?
One of the things that we made strides actually in council today, I know this will air some other time, but today in council we made decision to go ahead with Bass Pro Shop that's coming to Midland, and so that was an important change. We also approved a lease agreement for an indoor sports facility, and so those 2 things embody something that's important to me: family-friendly activities and things to do for our community. Midland needs more of that. We have an average age of 31, 32, depending on which study you're looking at, and we have so many kids that our largest group of population is ages 0 to 4. And so family is so important to this community, and we need to plan ahead for things that are going to provide well for those kids and those families. So really, parks and other economic development opportunities that point towards those family-friendly activities are a huge priority for me.
Yeah. I'm glad you also spoke on kind of the kids here, so because we're going to do a little switch, and to you as a kid, young Lori, what would she think of now if she could see herself as mayor, mom, wife, business owner? What do you think she would say?
I think she would be surprised. Young Lori would not have expected this. You know, I was really deeply involved in my church and in my school and in community, even as a kid, but I don't know that I saw myself as having an opportunity to be in a role like this as a kid. And so it's been a slow series of things that I've said yes to that have led me to this opportunity. It was not something that I just set out for as a small child. And so I think that I would be surprised. I will tell you, I was kind of a bossy little girl. And I think that that's often the case with little girls. We see that and we call it bossiness. But sometimes that's leadership skills that are in training. And you have to work the rough edges of that bossiness off because that doesn't play very well in real life. But as the bossiness grows and as you develop and mature, a lot of times that grows into leadership and the ability to see where we're headed and what we need to do to get there. And so I think that was something that people cultivated that in me.
Yeah, and do you have any advice for young little girls maybe that are, parents are saying, she's a little bossy, but like mold the leadership skills, or young women who are watching this today? Any advice for them as they get ready to kind of embark on life?
I think that one of the main things that we can learn, all of us, and not just little girls, but all of us can learn to be teachable, be coachable. We talk to our kids at our house about that a lot. You're going to come up against hard things, and you have an opportunity to be rebellious and angry about that, or to learn from it. And I think that every time you can take an opportunity to take a hard thing, take a criticism from a teacher or a coach, take encouragement or correction from a boss, you have an opportunity to make a better choice and to grow in those leadership skills. And so sometimes I've done that well, and sometimes I haven't done that well. But I've been very thankful to have good leaders in my own life, good mentors who've helped me work through those things.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great piece of advice, and I know throughout this whole interview you've dropped so many great gems that I know many people will be able to take with them. So thank you so much, Mayor Blong, for talking with me today.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity.